Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. Oh, I'm so happy to see so many of your faces here already. Wow. Happy Lionsgate portal. We are meeting on Saturday, and I have not done a video on a Saturday in a really long time. I'm pretty sure you can hear me. Oh, I love the lions, but if for any reason you can't, just let me know. Um, we're meeting on a Saturday, and tomorrow is 8/8, and it's also the Leo new moon. And so we have a synchronized event, astrological event with the peak energy of Lionsgate portal falling on the Leo new moon. And so we have a lot of really fun archetypal things to talk about today. And I did this. So nice to see you. I did this one a little differently. I have to be honest with you. I did not sleep last night. The energy was so strong, and I literally had about 2 hours of sleep last night. But I was in the stream of this video all night, and there's a couple different streams coming in. I think I knew that I was coming live, and so I was really tuned into the planet and to the human psyche, because there is a lot happening in our world right now. We are moving through a time of tremendous change, and I really feel like in the past couple days we did the Magdalene Stargate with the light body Stargate activation on July 22nd. And to me, I always feel like that's the official, it's Magdalene's feast day, which was given to her by an institution on the planet. But because so much energy comes to focus on that divine feminine archetype, I feel that it really open and it's really aligned the timing with it. And even on the 22nd, with the opening of the Lionsgate portal around the 26th, 28th of July. And so the energies have been really moving, but in the past couple days, there's a lot of forces of nature at play. And so we're going to work with the archetype of the lion. We're going to work with strength, and we're going to work with the emotional body today, the power of emotions and the power of our ability to interface with the wild and with the raw forces of nature that make up this kingdom. And so we'll go into that in just a bit. I want to say, please, if you are interested and if you're on Instagram, make sure to come to Art of the Feminine Instagram. It's also Shannon Port, but it's the Art of the, I have two accounts. It's the Art of the Feminine Shannon Port account, because that's where I'm going to be a little bit more active there. And that's where you can find the posts and the updates for these videos. So if you haven't seen the Magdalene video, I recommend that you watch it. It's a long one. We put a lot of time into it, but we really did a long version of the Light Body Stargate, which is a practice we use in Light Body Yoga. And at this time, it's not that we're running away from emotions at all, but we also are remembering that there is a space within, and that this portal has so much to do with that space, that we are able to um, almost like take refuge so that we can integrate what is happening. It's like we're in the world and we do the work, we have our experiences, we interface with our energy bodies, with other humans, and with collective energies that are moving the events that are happening right now. And we get exhausted and we get worn down, and then our mind starts to spiral. But when you understand the portal of Light Body Stargate, you realize that that is a stable um, sanctum that is always, even amidst the fluctuation and the waxing and waning in this lunar reality. It waxes and wanes. Energies build and then they decrease. They emit and then they contract. There is a place of stability within. And so we'll probably do this a little bit at the end of this video, but you can find all of that in the last video on the channel. Towards the end, we did about a half hour to activate that place where we activate vision. So we drop our 3D body for a moment. It's not that we're denying it. We're taking our energy body with us, but we're just separating from it for enough time to go in and reclaim what is lost when that body gets really dense and when the struggle is really upon us. The reason I'm taking time to remind you about that right now is because we are getting ready to really, really see rapid change. We've been talking about this for the past few years, and it's so funny. This Lionsgate today reminds me a lot of the Lionsgate on 888 in 2015. The same energy for me. I was up all night that night. It's on this channel, and it was a really powerful video where we did lots and lots of archetypal, where I did a lot of archetypal downloads. And but it was a similar energy of great change that happened on that triple eight is happening right now. 2021 is really what we expected in 2012. So what we're seeing in the world right now, the quick changes and the it's almost like the rug's being pulled out from underneath us. The changes that are happening, as well as the energetic changes, are kind of the vision that we all kind of thought we were going to see around 2012. And it's interesting, it took us about 7 years later to activate that real change that we're in right now. So I'm just going to take a peek down, and then I'm going to we'll start with, I'll just talk about Lionsgate and what it is, and then we'll look at the Leo new moon, because the energies of the Leo new moon are squaring Uranus. And so the earth goddess, the raw elemental nature of our emotions and feelings, which corresponds to the planet, is being squared by the Leo new moon. It's really, it's a tight square. And so it's amplifying the energies of what's happening in the world right now, which are really governed by this transit of Uranus through Taurus. And so I'm just going to take a moment, look down, see who's here. Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely hit the like button. Please do. I love that. Let's see. I'm just going to scroll up. Yay. Hi. Hi. Oh, I'm sending. Let's take a moment to send. I want to take a moment to send out love to all of you, and to all of you who are doing this work right now. We all have our own signature of the work that's being done. This is just Leo is about the self. It's about the lion. It's about the sun. It's about being center stage. It's the archetype. It's also the archetype of the law of suggestion, and how we put our suggestion into the world through our creativity and our imagination. But in Leo, each one of us is a star. Each one of us is a sun. And so we all have our own role to fulfill at this time. So I want to take a moment and just think of all the different people, the poets, the engineers, the scientists, the teachers, the writers, all those of you who are working in healing, in creativity, in art, in all the spiritual arts and sciences, all of the various lineages and traditions. There's even different streams working in the divine feminine, which is my lineage. There are different streams. Some are working more with power, some are working more with love, but make no mistake, they're two sides of the same soul. And so some are warriors, and some are really, really going deep into understanding love. And we're going to talk a lot about love in just a moment, but it's important. It's really important at this time. This is Leo, and this is the Lionsgate portal, that we honor each other's paths, that we honor each other's journey. Everybody's going through their own awakening right now. And sometimes people's awakening might look strange to us, or might even trigger us, or might rub up against us, or might seem very different from our own. Now is a time that it really serves us to just let everyone be, bless everyone, work with those you're called to work with, and just learn how to focus on what you're here to do. And that's what we're going to talk about, that because it has a lot to do with what will make us thrive in these times. We need to thrive. We need to learn how to make our own container to move forward, so that we can access our hidden gifts and our hidden powers. So it's really important that we're going to talk about forgiveness and non-judgment, and letting go of all that we see that seems to be the opposite of what we believe to be truth, or even a different version. So just take a moment, and I want you to just think of anyone who you know who's maybe doing similar work to you, or who's really working on their path right now, but might be a little different than yours. And maybe you've judged, or maybe you've thought, whatever thoughts, we all have our secret thoughts, whatever it is. Take a moment to bless that person or those people, send them love, wish them success in all that they do. The greatest way for us to have success is to truly, truly wish that everybody who's trying and working and who has desires which emanate from the divine imagination of the God source are able to bring those desires into fruition through their own path. There's no when we are each aligned in that way, our ego begins to, which is the transformation of Leo from the lion that connects to the underworld to the lion that's the superior force of the goddess. We each are able to truly be who we are. There's less threats in the world than we think. We just sometimes get entangled with other energy fields, and then the judgment starts or the projecting starts, and we feel threatened, or we feel limited, or competition, or less than, or greater than, whatever it is. Just know that when you really, really wish all those well in the world doing the work, and know that we're all playing a part in this symphony, then you can focus on your own work, no problem. You can get busy and know that the threats, there are threats in this energetic war. There's definitely in the laws of the forces of nature are going at it. But when you're equipped with this kind of energy, you're going to be in a good place. And you're going to be in a happy place. And you're going to be in a place where you touch that infinite source of joy within, which is what we touch when we go into the Stargate. And you realize that it's a fountain of light that flows through you. And so that was long, but it's really important. So I send all of you love, and I really, really, all of our different varieties of being, especially right now with the identity clashes in the world, all of it. I won't even name them all, but there's that really locks us into an ego consciousness. And it's not that we're not meant to have these conversations, but there's a way to have them that you won't get entangled, and that you won't be limited, and you'll be able to soar in this world. And that's what I've been really, really working with over the past few weeks, because it's the only way to go. And then we can love each other, and then we can speak to each other without allowing the power of our word to drop into a really low vibration. We become capable of speaking to all beings, whether they're attacking us, or whether they are loving us, or whether they're being divinely brought to us. We can speak from that place, and it doesn't mean that we're not attached to our emotions. We can still feel everything, but we can make the communication that we need to make. And so let's do I am, and then we'll jump into Lionsgate portal. Taking a moment, see the sun in your heart right now, a great big blazing light. Imagine that you are the pyramid at Giza, or imagine that you're the Sphinx and the sun is lit in your heart, in your king's chamber, or in your queen's chamber, with the great central sun beaming down, activating our own sun, and really sending the that activation into our heart, which stimulates the nucleus of our being and activates the earth itself. The earth responds to our own heart. The heart is the key. We've been really going deeper and deeper into that. When our own heart is on, the earth changes and she begins to talk to us. The goddess recognizes that code, that language, and she comes online with us. It's a very powerful link with our planet, Gaia. And so seeing all of that happening, we'll say I am, which is really in truth, the sun emanating into our field. And so just repeating after me, I am before me. I am behind me. I am at my left. I am at my right. I am above me. I am below me. I am unto me. And then take a deep breath in. Breathe in all the way. Hold it for a moment. Draw your solar plexus in, your navel in, lift up your pelvic floor, just squeeze for a moment and feel the energy inside you. Your inner body really activates when you do that. And then exhale all your breath out. And we will activate the divine plane, the spiritual plane, and the physical plane with I am, I know, I am, I know. All right. Okay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Lionsgate. Feel free to put anything in the comments, and I'll take a peek down. So Lionsgate. So on the archetypal, on the esoteric level, it's our central. It's the spiritual sun represented by Sirius, aligning with our sun, and the peak energy of that happens on 8-8, and the number 8 is tremendously powerful, and we will be going into some of the correspondences behind 8, and then that energy beaming spiritual light and codes, truly light codes from this. It's a spiritual language that lights up the pyramids at Giza, which really represent our own heart. It's the heart, that's the collective heart of humanity, and there's great vortexes there, and there's things like that that happen all over the planet, but this is a particular event, cosmic astrological event that really represents the human being unlocking their hidden potential and their gifts, and raising the lion of this world into the nobility of that higher star system, which is associated with lots of mythology, including Isis. It was really seen in ancient Egypt as a woman. It was seen as a feminine archetype, which was like Isis, the giver of life and the giver of sustenance and spiritual codes and spiritual language. So when we say spiritual sun, spiritual light is the synthesis of light and dark. It holds a higher level of it's all about communication. It's really the word. And in this world, we're in this 3D nature, and it's very important because the new moon is square to Uranus, which is in Taurus. Taurus is this 3D nature. It's the goddess, and it's very connected with Venus. And we'll look at where Venus is at the new moon tomorrow. And Venus is also the power of our imagination, and she's opposite Neptune, which is the highest octave of imagination. They're in a complete opposition at the new moon tomorrow. It's really, the energy is super intense, but the spiritual light, it's our language, and that's what we're reclaiming. It's not that we're in denial. This world, let's take a moment and talk about this world now and how it relates to the lion. I did some writing that I'm going to be posting on Instagram at Art of the Feminine about the lion and the goddess. So the lion represents the raw power of the feminine. It's the forces of nature. And it represents, to me, this is how I work with it, the emotion, the emotional body. Because at Art of the Feminine, we see there's no difference between nature and our emotional body. The energy and the light that is trapped in matter is also trapped in our emotional body. And so when we work with our emotional body, we become in a new kind of interface with matter. And that's what we're doing right now. We're learning how to be in this world with more magic and with more light. By light, we're not talking about polarity, we're talking about spiritual light, and that's what's represented by Sirius. There's also an alignment with Orion's belt, and so there's a lot of symbolism, and you can Google it, and there's beautiful writings. You can go into all of it online. I actually have a couple, and I might read from them if we have time. But this alignment is just, it's about our divinity, it's about our ascension, and it's about having higher wisdom and understanding. There's something, just one moment. All right, let's work with 8. Let's just take a moment and look at 8. All right, so 8, well, it's an energetic pattern. To me, it represents the particle and the wave in synchronicity, and it's an alignment of heaven and earth. It represents how we project, how we receive, and how we work with this great law of suggestion. The lion, representing the feminine force, can only be, can never be forced. Can you imagine walking into the jungle and going up to a lion, just bare, and trying to force it to do anything? That is our emotional nature, and that is also this kingdom that we live in. The forces of nature are powerful, and they work through weather patterns and elements. And so it's our emotional body that is mirroring with nature, like our mirror neurons. We are mirroring with this reality. It's not as solid as we think. That light within it, inside it, only starts to communicate with us when we activate this alignment that we're talking about at Lionsgate portal. That's when nature knows who we are and recognize us not as an earthly human, but as a human that is beginning to carry the codes that are relevant at this time. It's looking for, well, the Mother Earth knows who has those codes, and she speaks to us in our heart. So just one moment. So this kingdom, we work with the seasons and the procession of the equinoxes, and the way the sun affects our planet as it travels along the ecliptic. And so at different times of the year, different amounts of energy are available to us to upgrade our consciousness. And as we become more awake, we begin to hear. We all of a sudden are, what we used to just take for granted is a living, breathing transmission. It's the power of the word. And just looking back, oh, and I have a dream to tell you. I'm going to tell you a really powerful dream. Just looking back, when I started really teaching and teaching my work, my divine feminine work, I used to talk about astrology and astrological events, and even what else was it? There were different things I would talk about, and I would lose people. People knew about it, but it was like so far out that it would be like kind of, oh, that's cute that you bring that in, and you're talking about this, as you're talking about the feminine and the healing and relationships. But now that language is being, if you've noticed, like even in the past 10 years, any average person you can talk to, and they're going to have some awareness that we are of astrology. And there's different levels of astrology. There's different levels of sophistication and different frequencies. We work on a really, really deep and intuitive level. When I work with astrology here, it's I call it Sophionic astrology or divine feminine astrology, because it runs through the port, it runs through the heart port, it runs through a stream from the core, the very core of reality. But that language is becoming known. More people are waking up, and it's also being used, because once people are plugged into it, it can be used. We are in a fallen version of that reality, and so the planets are like nature. And so this interplay, like between Mars and Venus, Neptune, Pluto, Uranus, those are elemental forces. And they are, when we look at them, we can see how the energies that are happening in this physical world. It's just a mirror. And we those forces play part of our bondage, but they can also play part of our liberation. And so key events like Lionsgate portal are part of our times and the solstices and equinoxes and specific alignments, solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, where certain things can happen. But listening and being aware is how we begin to hear and feel. So let's just take a moment, because we're living in a sea of information. This is important with the North Node, and the North Node is square by Mars at this new moon tomorrow. Mars is squaring the North Node in Gemini. With the North Node of Gemini, there's this overload of communication, and there's also communication platforms are being used to control. So think about the lion and think about controlling the lion. You have to control the lion through suggestion. And what are the platforms of suggestion that we plug into and give ourselves to every day? Our digital platforms, our social media platforms, our technology. And that technology seeks to advance and get more and more and more and more enmeshed with the goddess within us. And so we could say a lot about that. But this is what we want to address today, letting go of fear of this stimulation that's happening in the world. So I'm just going to take a moment to let this down because I've been talking, and just like let it settle. I'm going to peek down and then we'll pick up right here. Fear and how we are to let the outer world situations, the news, the media, the current events that are really gripping hold of a lot of people and bringing up a lot of karma, a lot of triggering, how we can master those energies so we can be with them. We can observe, listen, heal, and play and create during this time. The planet is going to need people who can do that to be leaders as we go through these shifts. So I'm just going to take a peek down. I see a lot more things. Okay, so years ago, I found it difficult to understand the astrological language. Someone saying they listened to, I was so interested, but I couldn't stay present. Isn't that amazing? Oh, first of all, hello from UK. So nice to see you. Astrology shaming is a very real thing. It always has been. And this is the thing about astrology. I'll just put this little tidbit out there. I always say, the way I use astrology might surprise people because I don't use it to decide what I do on a daily basis. I check out what's happening, and then I can just look at what's happening and then receive the stream. I can look at it. I can look at the transits for the day and know what's going to happen. And now I don't even look every day because we're moving away from that. But so there's a lot of different. It's being used in a lot of different ways, and find the way that's right for you. That's what I want to say. I just want to say that because to some people, it can drive you crazy if you listen to it over and over, but you can also learn it that way. So that is one of the ways that by following more mainstream type channels, you'll learn about the energy of the planets. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in so long. Wow. Some of you from the old days. Hi from Chile. Okay, just one moment. So happy to be here. Chiron and Juno. Oh my gosh, I didn't look at, you know what? I didn't look at some of my goddess planets today. There's too much to talk about. But if you guys want to put in like where Lilith is, where Chiron is, hello from Denmark. Love all the emojis, greetings. Okay. Wow. So many people I recognize from a long time ago. You know what? And it's a cycle because 2015 was a big year and a lot of people from around the world. It's not that video had so many views, but people around the world really got activated by the Lionsgate video I did in 2015, which you can find on this channel. It's still up. So, okay. So let's take a moment and look at how we can activate the power of Leo. So the lion It's such a powerful symbol. So it really is. So in I work with the archetype a lot. My archetype I always turn to is the lion walking with the goddess, because it doesn't mean that you've controlled the lion, that the lion being your shadow and you almost like the ego energy, because lion is Leo and that is the ego in the zodiac. The lion is connected to our ego, and some of the mythology, it's evil. Like the lion represents like the fallen one and the fallen streams, but in any myth or archetype, there's always a shadow side and an awakened side. And so the lion also represents our nobility and the ultimate power of walking with the lion. And what that means is that you can observe the world and you can be in the world and observe the patterns in nature, the maiden mother crone mysteries, and watch everything growing and changing and honor it. You can honor your emotional body and the path, the alchemizing we go to claim that energy all the way. We have to go. I was just talking to one of you a couple days ago. We have to go through it. You cannot suppress the lion. If you've got pent up forces of nature inside you by suppressed emotional energy, it has to be released. We all know that, and we call that by many, many things. So your soul will send you the right situation so that you get to love, but you also get to become familiar with what's inside you and become familiar with how you feel about things, where you have deep grief, where you might have deep rage, where you're afraid, where you're fearful, where you're competitive, where you would like to harm someone or wish someone bad. It's like we all have those forces within us. And when we interact with people, it allows us to just get a look at what's happening with them, what's happening with us, what's valid, what needs to be expressed, and what is ready to be, you know, turned over and go from inverted to back in alignment with the rising, the helical rising, which is really what this is about. It's called the rising of the sun, this portal, because the sun, the solar energy, is trapped in matter. And as it rises, that's our ascension up the center. It rises and it activates our crown, our throne, and it activates our heart, and it gives us the power to speak. But that comes when we do this alchemy, when we claim. You cannot do it by suppressing the emotional body. And so we get really good at surrendering and forgiving, letting go, allowing, and having fun as we go. If we have a lot of karma with something that's going to take us down a lane that's really negative and dark, according to our emotions, if we wake up, we might be able to change that path. But for most people, they're just going to be going by their zodiac. And if they're meant to have an event in their life that's very hard, they'll have it, because that will be information given. And it's not really, it's not good or bad. It's part of our reality and it's part of what we do. And as we understand, when you really, really look at things from this vantage point, you understand that everything's playing out the way it's meant to, everything. And as you start to get a little more, as you activate that portal within the heart, you can co-create. Now you can say, look, I see this is happening, but you check in, you go to your high communication, which is your soul, and your spirit and your monad, you're receiving from your higher self, and you ask, you say, I see this happening, I see what's going on right now, because we have to be obedient to our soul as we get further on our path. We have to, meaning because our soul knows more. It's like when you have a master teacher, a true master teacher, they let you do your thing, but when they know what's right. So the higher part of our being has a vantage point and knows what's happening in the Akashic. And so we check in and we just ask. You say, okay, I see what's unfolding, and have a feeling that this is what's coming. Am I meant to fight to change this? Am I meant to stay present for it? Is it a place that triggers me and I have to heal that trigger by living through it and learning to listen and see and receive? Because that was a great lesson for me with my Mercury opposite Mars, was all the emotional energy coming up, it blocks you from being able to hear. So eventually we be able to balance our emotions with listening, That's the great gift. Once we can listen, we can receive information on how we use that power. This is really powerful stream that's coming in right now. But it's what we need to know because everything is changing right now. We can see that. I just want to say, as far as like looking at what's happening in the world, it's polarity. If you talk to one person who fully believes this, and I've done this in the past couple of weeks, I've taken people who have complete opposite views, looked at both, and brought them together to understand why they think they're opposing each other, but they're really not. That's the great mystery, is that, and it's being used. So when you look at things like the media and the news, there's two distinct there's a war going on, and it's ancient. This war goes back to ancient archetypes. Unplug from that war, see what's good and bad on both things, but at some point you have to realize, and there are different, I look at it, and I am quite aware and quite tuned in, but lately I'm seeing through it in a whole new way. And you know be playful about it. Say, okay, this is going on, where do I fit in, what am I meant to do? And that's when you listen. I find 9 times out of 10 that listening will take you to creativity, because rather than creating, this came in really strong last night, rather than creating as a reaction or a defensiveness. And I know there's times, which is good therapy for channeling anger, but when something really triggers you and you're really angry. For years I would use that because you're just overcome with it, and it's in you, it's an old pattern, you have some shame, but you also have some rage, and it's all these emotions. So I would always turn to writing or creating, and that's a beautiful outlet because it helps turn that energy into fruitful creations, and it's amazing. And then it gives us the power to talk without totally reacting. But as you go deeper and deeper and work that through, pretty soon, like now, if I feel triggered, rather than being, I have to protect myself, I have to start creating and put all my thoughts down and do it. I will be like, oh yes, thank you. I like it. There's some energies coming towards me for some polarity. And I'll be like, okay, it's time to receive my power. And then I'll just sit with it. And now I go beyond words or even visions, and I just wait until I feel it's access the center point, that point on the 8, and I let the imagination of God rise up and create something that has no agenda, that's not defending itself, that's not projecting any kind of hate or judgment, but that is a pure, from below and above, divine emanation into the field that is just pure power and joy. That's the lion. The lion represents our pure power. So let's go in. I'm going to talk about okay. Oh good. We're pretty good for time. Okay. So I'm going to talk about forgiveness. I did a little writing. I'm just going to grab this. I didn't do formal writing like I have been doing because of the energies of last night. So Leo is the divine child. It's our inner child. That Leo energy that wants to be the star and wants to be the sun, and Leo is the child. And it's also the imagination. So in the zodiac, it's the 5th house. 5 represents creativity. The pentagram, it represents being the center of your own system, which all of us are meant to be. We have to understand that's power. You want to get your own orbit in order, and then you're going to be able to interact with everybody. Nobody can mess with you, but you can love, and you can be an authority when you need to. And this is what awakening is. This is what our coming into our higher energies are, which is very powerful. So I'm gonna stay focused, learn how to do it without a tantrum, or without being in bondage to the laws of this world that tie us down to old belief systems. And we can play in that world. It's very creative. Most of Hollywood is Leo. It's connected to 8. It's connected to the law of suggestion, and it works on us day and night. It's the full ruling power on the planet. And now it's merged with social media. It's the full power. Over the years, I've done some really big videos on this, and it's really big because it's always there's pick and choose what you tune into, because there's also depth, archetypal mythology, grail codes that you can find in it and really open your heart. There's also some stuff you can let go, definitely, because that's more on the program side. In the polarity world, we have to have both. So you'll always find the good with the bad, but the bad's getting worse right now. So, the Christ Sophia is the purity of cosmic love and truth. So it's our purified underworld consciousness. How do we get there? We get there by feeling. We get there by using our emotions and not being afraid of them. How do we apply this love? How do we attain this love, which is divine love, of what I often refer to as Christos Sophia on this platform? Forgiveness and surrender. So let's just take a moment and talk about that. Forgiveness is the ultimate, and it might be even different than what you think. So a lot of us are we think not forgiveness again. Like, I don't want to forgive. I have my sacred rage. I'm mad and I want to show it. Well, that's good. And if you're angry and you have rage, which we all do on a certain level, that we need to hold space for that. But forgiveness is the ultimate technology, and this is what we were going to talk about. We're going to go into a different octave in correspondence. Okay, so the Christ is our heart, the avatar, the Christ, the Christic consciousness. It's an archetype. It's associated with a being, a historical being, a divine being, and many, many master beings. But it's also each one of us. And the Christ, the true Christic avatar, taught forgiveness in that dispensation not too long ago, because humanity was ready for forgiveness. It took us a long time to understand that, because we lived in this primal attack world where, like, lust and sexuality and the carnal, we were learning how to create, how to build, and we had to have that, like, desire, the desire force for the goods of this world. And that meant it was a dog eat dog world. It was one man against the other, especially one woman against the other. And this underworld has been hard on the feminine. So, but it also is the feminine. So the Christic force comes in, and now in our dispensation, in the age of Pisces, taught forgiveness, which activated the Piscean Neptune energy of our creativity and divine love. It was a new idea for the planet, because it meant we had to become more sophisticated. It takes true sophistication to understand what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is an energetic code, and it's closely related to Neptune and the hangman, the surrender and the letting go, and the inverse of what you thought was reality. In order to access the Leo energies, we have to first forgive, first and foremost. Yeah, forgiveness is our fertility. It's our forgetfulness of what we took to be truth that we're now letting go of. It's our forging forward. So as we forgive, what we really are doing is we're clearing our canvas, because anyone that we're holding energy against, we're entangled with, and they're on our creative canvas. And so if you want that picture in the picture you're trying to paint, well, you're gonna have it there. It's never gonna go away. That's what we call karma. So it reaches all the way back to the beginning of the soul's trajectory. All those energies that we're still tied to because we're angry, and we've been enmeshed in a karmic relationship. This is soul groups. This is how we appear. This is soulmates. This is how we go through the cycles of time and we meet up with each other. So pay attention to who's in your world and why. Go through the alchemy, and then you will come out the other side. It's a little bit, it can be quite challenging, because you might think you're done and you're not done. It keeps popping up. It's like you pound it down, it pops back up, but you just keep going. And you go with the playfulness of a child. You want to access your inner child and keep creating. That's why we're here. So when you forgive, what happens is that you release. You let go of all the debris and the distortion that is in your world. There's a heart forgiveness where you grant someone forgiveness, like I forgive you, and I know some people out there that have grievances towards me, and I can feel those. Even I can feel those being a person in the public. You can, as you can get this deeper and deeper, you can feel what everyone's feeling. And it's interesting. You can tune into someone and be like, oh, I really like this person, but I can feel that energy. And it's okay. That's how we operate as human beings. That's just how we do. We're using our feminine energy. And we have to understand that if you want to get power, we have to let go for reasons of the heart, but those are more personal reasons. And so we have to do our personal forgiving, which oftentimes is karmic, go through those cycles. Sometimes we forgive and we think we're the better person. That's one step along the way, but pretty soon we just forgive. And it's not denial. It's not turning a blind eye to what something that's, because if you're meant to speak the truth to power about something, you will. But as you forgive, you'll draw from that place we're talking about with creativity, where it's not a reaction or a defensiveness, it's truth. It's coming from God's imagination, and it's bringing in what we're really meant to work with. That imagination is in the planet, it's built in. That is Taurus and Uranus right now, activating Gaia, activating humans, activating our flesh, bringing us into a place where that light that's trapped is going to explode and open. And that's what Ascension is. And so we're going through our pangs right now. I did a lot of videos in December leading into the age of Aquarius. If you're interested in the age of Aquarius, there's a lot of videos called the I Am Goddess meditation that go through. There's maybe 15 to 19 that go through what the energies are of this age, that talk about all of these things. I have to make sure they're up right now, but they're there. So forgiveness is a form of surrender, and it is the law of surrender. You might be holding things that you really don't need to hold. And at first you do it because you're desperate. Trust me. Even the higher you go, you still have certain things that you want to hold on so bad because you think you're right. The goddess will show us that we really know nothing until we've surrendered to her. The ego is so trapped in karma and thinks that, meaning past events, it thinks we know everything. We need to feel that power, but eventually we get to the end and we're like, I don't want it. I don't want it. You can have it. We give it to her and we let her take it away. So what happens then? We get a clean slate. We get that clean canvas, and we begin to let the inner laws work through us. This is Leo. This is Lionsgate portal. This is what we're calling to right now, because we need this right now. For those, not everybody can just jump to this. If you're here, there's something inside you. Hearing is the ultimate. If you can hear this, it's coming from the deep. Okay, I'm going to tell you my dream, because now I can see we're getting towards time. I want to tell you a dream. I don't think I've ever told this. I'm going to have a little iced tea for a moment. So good to see you. Oh my gosh. I just saw a couple new. Oh, wow. I'm seeing some new people. Oh, this is so, I always get so excited. And then I watch the videos and I'm like reacting, but it's truly, my heart explodes when I see people there, because I know your connection and your energy, and it activates. I can feel it. It's like a boom. So I had a dream, a series of dreams. I don't know if I've ever shared this before. And they started in 1998 in the summer. In 1998, I started receiving lion dreams. I had no idea what they were. I knew I'd always been vivid imagination and dream. I have my archetypes are very encoded for dreaming and being able to travel that landscape, but this was new. Archetypes that I recognized had never come in like this. In this dream, I'm just going to call it in. It was a powerful time. I was in New York City, summer of 1998, and I was running in a prairie, and I was just fueled with energy, and I was just sprinting. And I'm not necessarily a sprinter. I'm a Taurus, so sprinting is not my gift. But I felt like I was on fire, and I was running. And then all of a sudden, there was something inside me. I looked, and there was a lion running alongside me. And I was like, wow, I realized that I was running and I was running alongside this lion in this wide open prairie field. And all of a sudden, we paused at this big, big, big tree. And I was suspended in the air. My feet were about this far off the ground. And the lion turned to me, and I realized that it had the face of a human. It had a human face. And it was feminine, but it was also kind of gender neutral. But I felt a feminine energy coming through it. And it telepathically beamed to me these words: in order to run faster, you must keep your feet on the ground. In order to run faster, you must keep your feet on the ground. And I had a moment of my feet weren't on the ground. I was gliding, I was off the ground. And I thought I was so proud of myself that I was running like this and I wasn't fully on the ground. And I didn't know what it meant. It was the Sphinx. This lion was actually, I didn't even associate it with the Sphinx at this time, but there was a series of dreams that came after that, and they're all written down. That's, I don't know if that's exactly the word for word, but I believe it is. If you want to run faster, you must keep your feet on the ground. So the ground in archetypal wisdom is the goddess. It's the ground. It's the deep, deep feminine in it. It's what keeps us um, in our alchemy to not lose our connection with the foundation. The foundation has many, many layers to it, but I had this Neptune. I'm very creative. I was an actor at the time in New York City, and my whole life I'm very, very creative. And like a lot of creatives, I went through stages of partying and, medicating and doing all kinds of things that enhance that creativity state and make you feel like, just things that make, a lot of people go through at that age, a lot of different partying, and that is a form of checking out. I mean, but it's okay. We go through it at different stages, but it takes you off the ground. If you know anything about Pisces and addiction and drugs and how we start to, when we go down that path that can lead to a path where we're checked out, our feet lose touch with the ground. And we no longer have, we know we can't do the alchemy because we have to have our feet on the ground. Um, there's more to it. I'm just going to see if there's anything else I meant to say. And then that Sphinx had come from another star system, and it's always been with me. And now, each year at Lionsgate portal, I feel so lit up. It's almost like it comes closer and closer to this reality, which is what happens at this time when Sirius comes closer to the Earth and aligns with the Sun and aligns with the pyramid and the Sphinx. Um, it's a communication stream, and we all have these, but pay attention because that was such a pure communication. And I look back and I have different dream series, but this one was by far the greatest. We have to stay in reality so that we can alchemize matter. I mean, if we're not touching matter, we can't. But our heart and our senses are feelers that are receptors of a wisdom from above and below. Okay, so let me just take a moment. Does anybody have any questions? We must understand connection with the earth to our emotions and our emotional body to understand the elements. Because when I look at the earth, I just see the elemental body. I see our emotional body, and I see desire. I mean, that's what Taurus is. And so Uranus is Taurus. I actually have to get going on the new moon. It's your emotional body will determine your reality. 5,000%. And your mind and your feelings are in communication with each other. We've got the king and queen chamber within, but you will learn that, and we are learning that together, and humanity will see why this struggle right now, because there's a struggle that plays out at the end of every cycle. And that's why we know it. We kind of have a feel for what's coming. Stay in your that's what sovereignty is. That's what sovereignty is. Okay. I'll take a peek down. Angel hugs and blessings. Oh, to everybody. I always love it. Oh, it's so nice to see you. Okay, so let's look at the new moon and why it's so by the way, I just want to say there's other times where the Sphinx taught me how to fly in other dreams. Maybe I'll slowly roll them out. I want to really write about them to do them justice, but it taught me also how to swim and how to fly, and there was a whole series. So it's not always about being on the ground, but my first introduction, it was basically like saying, if you bet you don't get back on the ground, you're not going to be able to reach your destiny for this lifetime. That's when I really understood why I had had all these experiences my whole life, was back in 98. So in order to have the alchemy of our emotions, we have to have focus. So I'm just going to say a little bit about that. Let's look at Uranus and Taurus. So at this new moon, Uranus is squared by the new moon, and the sun and moon are at 16 degrees, the tower of Leo, square to Uranus at 14. So that means the new moon is activating at the same date as the peak energy of the Lionsgate portal in Leo. So the Leo is really saying, you've got to get your game on for this like Lionsgate alchemy. It's time. There's no time to spare anymore. We talked about it in the last video. The portal's still open, but in order to go with it and not have to go through the downward spiral, you have to hop on now. Now is a good time to get in there and understand it. Mars is in a tight square to the North Node in Gemini, which is the mind, technology, communication. It could also mean that there's going to be, something big revealed starting in this week, tomorrow, when Mars is squaring the North Node in Mercury. The information is getting ready to come out about a lot of different things. The earth is changing, nature is changing, the elements are changing, money is changing. This is all Taurus. So with Uranus and Taurus, everything's changing. The financial system's changing. The elements are changing. Our homes are changing. Uranus is going to rock it up. It's going to keep moving the way our world is for, I don't know, there's several more years left. And I'm not going to mention this now because I'm going to do a video about it. Really big video coming. So about Uranus and Taurus. Okay. Venus is opposite Neptune. So Venus is in Virgo, opposite, I think she was around 20, Neptune's at 22 Pisces. Well, that's that Venus. Those are both imagination powers, and they are in deep communication with each other. And Venus will move into a tighter opposition. And so it's the heart as well. The heart energy is being, Venus always takes us to our heart, which is the Lionsgate portal and the lion. And so Venus really is one of those archetypes of the goddess walking with the lion. She is working with the creative imagination in Neptune and saying, we have to bring this into the heart so that it's divine. And, Venus is the ruler of Taurus, which is where Uranus is, being squared by the new moon. She rules Taurus and Libra. Libra is all about balance. We won't go into it too much right now, but divine balance with the sword. But Venus is the ruler of Taurus, and she governs all pleasure and financial success and abundance, and heart energy, and how heart energy is mirrored into the world. So that's happening tomorrow at the new moon. Pluto is sextile Neptune. That's a big helpful energy of spiritual rebirth tomorrow. Mercury is almost opposite Jupiter, and it's moving to oppose Jupiter more in the next couple of days. That's news. That's what I meant. I wrote down next to that. That's news. Mercury with Jupiter. Mercury is like some kind of communication dropping, and it's going to oppose Jupiter, which is retrograde. Jupiter and Saturn are both in Aquarius. What that means, we did the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction in I think Jupiter Saturn, that was back at solstice, at winter solstice. Both those planets are retrograde in Aquarius. That's our lessons for this time. We are activating. Leo is opposite Aquarius. We didn't talk much about this, but what I'm just going to say, the age of Aquarius and Leo very much harmonize. Aquarius is our new world, our new technology. It's really a sign very closely connected to Venus and the heart, and I think it's going to take us a while to get there. I was very ambitious going into it in December 2020, but I knew there was going to be, I knew at least Saturn would have to clear Aquarius, but that they're both there right now. The sun is the ruler of the new moon in Leo. 8, infinity, the forces of nature, the heart, and suggestions. So if we have time, we'll do a quick little meditation to tune out, but just you just see the forces ravage us raw when our ego takes over with self-righteousness. Just when we think we know, we are proven differently. The only stable force is the stargate within us, the place of deep listening to access the mother codes. Her wisdom can pierce our existence here and raise us up and give us the required vision to see in the dark. The only thing we know is that we know nothing. Love is that's a good place to start, because then you could start to know everything. Love is the force that leads us through this labyrinth of death and suffering, to see the flowers, the fruits of the other side. So one thing I want to say is that real love is a substance, and it's not super common, but we all get glimpses of it. When you meet someone that's caring, truly has reached love. And there are a couple masters out there that really walk with that. We're all finishing up some things, but if you've ever seen a community where there's a nucleus that's radiating for everyone, and everyone's kind of in step with that, and there's a lot of divine love, real love, everyone gets to shine and be who they are, but there's no ego. You might ask, how can that be? It's possible. And in fact, it's so much more fulfilling. Everyone steps up and shines. And when people step up and shine, there's an immediate surrender by everyone else. This is where we're headed as humans. It's so second nature to just bow and share the joy of the person who's getting their time, because the sun is really us. It's so hard. We're really one big being. And so when one of our brothers or sisters is thriving and having their time, to celebrate that is, you're celebrating yourself, really. And there's never any threat. So all of the ego that we're trained to have for various reasons, from fear, it goes away. And and I've seen this in places. They're very, very rare. And there's some places that are building into that. But that's how our new communities will be started. And it's going to take a little bit to have enough people to start, tuning in with that. But I know some of you are really doing that work, and it's going to be amazing. By the way, I just want to say there's some people that I've been communicating with. I am so excited to see you. There is okay, a question. Okay, I see your question, Anya. I'll look at it one sec. There's so many people that I'm communicating with on the inner plane that I haven't actually made contact with in the outer world yet. I just want to say, there's a few divine feminine teachers that are out there, and that I've seen on the inner. They're really, really, really beautiful. And I'm just saying that out there. I'm just putting that into the ether, because there's a communication taking place, and there's some future things happening with those relationships that are already being built on the inside. So I'm going to look at this. In the moment of feeling cut off from this deep listening, sometimes due to high emotional feeling, what's the best process to shift back? Okay, so let me just take a look. I mean, we always get what we need. So if we're not meant to find our way in, we'll go through it. And that's where we just be human. We just and then there's another part for what happens when you can find that. So oftentimes when you're getting closer and closer, and I think you're going to know what I mean, you'll be going through the motions of having the ravaging emotions in the fight, but there's a voice right here that's watching. Yourself is watching your person go through that. It's like your inner child which really longs for the parents. The parent is right there watching, and that's also you too. You're the parent as well, but you're witnessing yourself do that. Has anybody ever had that, where you're usually in more committed relationships? The longer we go with someone, we know we're in a trap. We're locked in with somebody, and we're going at it, and the emotions are real. But once you start to once you start to know, I'm watching myself do this, it's so beautiful, because you can let it run through. You don't have to try to bring it to a halt, because if you can't, you'd be bottling it up again, because you'd be doing it for the wrong reason, thinking you're bad, thinking you're not worthy, or thinking that you're going to lose somebody. Although, when we talk about this in a lot of the work I do, relationships are living, breathing entities, and we do want to make sure that we don't poke too many holes in them. But that's all part of the more advanced teachings. We learn how to do that. And so I'm just speaking ahead a little bit. If you have the wherewithal, you've run it out, you kind of usually, after you've run your emotions, you might feel like you have a little bit of a letdown, you collapse. You can, yes, or thinking it's going to destroy something. Yeah. Emotions, first of all, emotions from a woman who works with a lot of, who has a lot of power, will get stronger and stronger. And they will do damage, because we have that power. It's that Lilith power, that raw power that just goes out swinging, or swinging through the dark room, swinging the sword. But um, we have to we have to oh, this is so big. It's like that. It's one breath away. Touch can help. If this is a relationship, and we're oftentimes afraid to back down, because we think we're going to lose. I know, at least that was my energy. If you have the more, like, you think you're going to lose your point, or you're not going to be heard, or you're just going to be taken advantage of. So we build up, all these different energies are working at once when we're going at it, or when we're emotional, even with ourself, even when we're spinning the story in our mind and having the conversation with the person in our mind, which is real. But when you get that breath, we get quicker and quicker. The disparity between the time of having that and just saying, let it go, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller until they bridge. No judgment until that comes, though. When you can, take a breath. I think we've talked about this before too, because apologizing can sometimes clean the slate. And I'm not talking about apologizing for being wrong, but just apologizing to clear the air, not for being wrong, or not to win someone back, but just being like, oh, I'm sorry, I realize this is getting more and more heightened. I don't need to go there this time. If it becomes very familiar territory, and you've been there and been there, you get to a time where you're like, oh, I don't need to go quite to that level this time. And wow, I feel myself alive. I'm having this experience. I can kind of not even rein it back in, but just surrender. And if you're with sometimes touching someone and just saying, I'm sorry. I've used a lot of examples of this when I do my mentorship of my own life, profound breakthroughs that have changed my entire life, where someone I used to have that lock grip with, that trigger, and it's done now. It will never, ever, ever come back. But honor your emotions 100%. Get familiar with your power, because it's that saying, if you have the power to rage that hard, imagine how much power you have, because that's pure power. It's raw. That's the raw forces of nature. So honor that power, and seeing self in other, no matter how strong. Yeah, thank you. That's beautiful. Also, usually the other person is acting out your worst fear, or what you're most afraid of. And usually we don't. This is another thing you can do immediately. This is so transformative. Take the other person who you're mirroring with, and take a moment and say, I'm just going to take a break from this. I'll come back to you later. Keep all my emotions here. You don't have to let them go. You can just, I've done this before. You say, you're okay. Your mom's just going to step away for a minute. Pop into the other person's body, look at yourself, and feel what they're feeling. So if you are in, or with anyone, that goes for anyone, media personalities, politicians, all kinds of public figures. You can, if you pop into their body and you see what they're seeing, you'll know what they feel and why. But then you can see how they see you. And you might see something about yourself from that perspective that you didn't realize before. I had tremendous alchemy come through this to see myself. I've talked about it a lot over the past couple years, but where I got to realize things that I couldn't see it. I was so locked in my own perspective, I couldn't see it. Once I saw it, I was like, "Oh, wow. Let's clean this up." Okay, I see it. Because once you see it, that's it. You can start rebooting. But yeah, become the other person and look at yourself and just say, "How do I look to them right now? What are they frightened of in me right now?" And so let's just take it to one last situation. Let's say it really is the wrong place, the wrong time. That's a tricky one because our ego is so wrapped up in those decisions. But if you can go in, like we talked about, and ask the goddess, okay, I see what's happening. My trigger wants to run away, or my trigger wants to hurt, or wants to go crazy, or do harm, or whatever. But what else might I not be seeing? What would you like me to do? You meaning just that part of yourself that can see. So if they don't answer, that means you got to keep just going through it. That means you're still in that level where you got to work that one out. But pretty soon the guidance will get clear. That is the Lionsgate portal. That is our emotional body. And log me in. Oh, nice to see you. That's kind of funny. Okay. So let me just take a moment. Go watch the Stargate in the Magdalene video. It's the last video. If you haven't seen it, it's the last half hour. Okay. All right. We'll just take a moment. If anyone has anything else they want to say, take it and write it. Write it. I'm going to see if there's anything else. The stabilizing force is our power. The goddess walking with the lion. Does anyone have any questions about emotions or what's happening in the world right now, or anything you want to put out before we close? All right. Oh, thank you. So nice to see you. Some really beloved friends here and people I've worked with over the years. Oh, oh, nice to see you. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Okay, let's take a moment now. Let's go in. Let's just access this Lionsgate portal through the Stargate right now. This will be a really quick one. So just take a moment. And just see yourself in your body. We're already really activated right now. The Leo new moon tomorrow, the Lionsgate portal. Find your inner king or queen chamber in your heart, whichever one you want to claim for yourself. It's so powerful. Find it right in your heart and make a template for you to receive the energy that's coming in right now, the divine communication. Just see yourself with that in your heart. Just take a moment. On the count of 3, we're going to just let the physical being drop for a moment, and we're going to step into the circle. We'll stay there for just a moment, and we'll meet in Giza at the pyramids. Okay, just take a moment. Step up onto your little round platform right in front of your body, breathing deep and seeing a really luminescent breath. Your breath is light. You're breathing in light and exhaling. As you step onto that platform, you know you're getting ready to step into the Stargate. It's a big, huge round circle. We're all around the outside of the circle, each on our own mini platform. Just honor your physical body and all that it does for you. Go into the cellular and thank your physical being. Love it. Take care of it. Thank it as a vessel for you to walk this world, because we need to be here and we need a body to be here. But on the count of 3, the third breath, as you exhale, you're going to exhale and let it drop. So take one breath in. Again, breathe in. Exhale. Breathe in. Deeply breathe in. As you exhale this next time, you're going to allow your physical body to drop through. The trapdoor is going to open on your platform. So breathing in and now exhaling. Let your body fall. Just feel yourself a little bit more subtle energy. Your body, you're in your subtle form now, and it's like, oh, I'm still here. Your soul consciousness is still here. Your mind is still here. But now we're going to just, on the count of 3, we're all going to step in the Stargate. which is going to be our grand master platform to receive the light, the great light from our great central sun. This is our galactic new year, activating the beginning of a new cycle, a new archetype. And so on the count of 1, 2, 3, and now just step into the portal. It's a big circle, and we're all stepping in at the same time. And just get familiar with it. I'm seeing us at Giza right now. You can see us wherever you want. And it just went from light to day really quick because I'm seeing a lot of stars and different constellations in the sky. But just feel the earth beneath your feet and feel all the travelers and the souls in this stargate with you. And take a moment to harmonize with them. All brothers and sisters, some may be from your soul group, some from other stargates and soul groups that you've never met before, or perhaps that you're here to do some work with. Just take a moment to let down and to claim your divinity. Claim yourself as a creative being. There's different activations happening at different pyramids, as well as the Sphinx. So just pick, like we did last time with the 7 pillars, just pick an activation that you're drawn to. And I'm going to ask that just in the short time we're in here, I'm going to ask that you receive a message from your higher self, because that's really what all of this represents, the great higher self of creation. There's so much beautiful energy. I see a lot of rose quartz and pink energy and heart energy and a lot of golden energy as well. And then some Lilith energy as well. And there's some deep tones that are present that are really beautiful. And just ask, what am I meant to receive at this time? What is my great gift? Seeing like an X over the heart, the collective heart, and it's drawn in pink lines, and there's a sun in the center, and the sun is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's a solar feminine activation. And so you will receive in the next 24 hours during this peak portal, through dreams, through conversations, through archetypal codes and symbols in the world, through weather patterns, which are really connected to the elements and our emotions and our feelings. You receive a gift from this stream. Let the world talk to you, and don't be afraid of it. No fear. To release fear is to have pure power. Fear will help you out when you need it. If you need to have a little human fear to tell you there's a warning, if the subconscious sends you a warning sign, that's different. That's our best friend. But the chronic fear that's on the planet right now, let it go. It's like this energy that I'm seeing with the archetype of the divine human is really present. And so I'm going to let you all have your own vision of what that is. And we'll just bow to this energy. I'm going to have you keep it in your heart with you. May it work with you in the next day and on through this month. We are starting a new, I'm just going to begin to close out. We're starting a new period. There is so much, and going to be doing a video about what I said I wanted to talk about, but it needs its own video about what's coming in the next months and the next couple years, just as far as energy and changes that are happening to everything. We all see everything happening as far as how we shop, where we get information, what we do, how we love each other. And that change is we're meant to go through it without fear and to enjoy it. We came here for a reason. We came here to be here, and it's an honor to be here. A lot of people are leaving the planet. A lot of people are leaving the planet for various reasons. Some are meant to go right now and work from another place, and then a lot of people are leaving. But if you're here and you've got this vehicle in this world, you want to use it. You want to be super thankful, and you want to love people everybody, especially those people who trigger you, just try loving them, and then get out of their way. Like, you don't have to stay. You don't have to. This is the last thing I'll say. If something really bothers you, sometimes we think, oh, I'm going to have to be around it or this. No, just let it go. It probably wants to break free from you as much as you want to break free, and create your canvas. Have your focus of what you are here to do, and just keep going. Keep moving into it and being it. And all those love relationships that are happening right now, honor those, because if you're doing alchemy at this time, it's very, very potent. And so that being said, um, yeah, I'll be here. I won't make any promises because a lot has happened in the past year, but I plan to be here. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and come back and leave comments. I think the comments are on. After you've had some time to process, I would love to know what you felt and what you're feeling in the Light Body Stargate. And subscribe. So make sure to subscribe if you want to get the live notifications. And I think that's it. I think we're good for now. Enjoy this month, and happy Leo new moon and Lionsgate portal. Namaste. Sending lots, and I love you all so much. Happy to have you here with me. And so thank you. Thank you for being here. Many, many, many blessings. I'm just taking a quick peek to see if I missed anyone. Wow. Yeah, forgiveness will change the inverted system. That's how you do it. I'm telling you, you cannot take that too far, but listen and receive your own guidance on this. It will free you. And it's not denial. I'm not talking about, I'll forgive everyone. It's all love and light. Not that. I gave enough clues. You got it. Okay. Oh, so great to see you too. Okay. Oh, wow. There's so many more. I'm just going to scroll through for a second. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Great to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. Until next time.